Hi, this is Randal Wimmer, the author of Good Enough to Launch Your Company. This is Chapter 1. Is this book for me? About this book. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur or small business owner and want to learn the principles of successful entrepreneurship by seeing those principles applied in a real-world startup example, then this book is for you. This book transforms the vague tenets of successful entrepreneurship into discrete, actionable steps to help your startup achieve market penetration. If you're open to learning more about the federal government contracting industry, then you're really in luck. This book uses the launch of a federal government contracting company as a medium to uncover many of the frequently glossed over, hidden details of starting a company. Any company in any market. Why use the federal government contracting market as a case study? Let's be honest. No single case study will work perfectly for every entrepreneur. However, the federal government buys virtually everything you can imagine. So this example is relevant to nearly any product or service offering. Regardless of primary markets, essentially any company can sell to the federal government. Moreover, the requirements to operate a federal government contracting company typically exceed those of other industries. So if you can sell to the federal government, you can sell to anyone. Since starting a company requires a focused, immersive approach, launching a federal government contracting company will be presented as if it's the singular objective of this book. I've decided to do this for two reasons. First, this approach makes the book a lot easier to read by eliminating the constant use of prepositional phrases such as, for this case study, and in this example. Second, this approach allows the reader to be immersed in launching of a company by putting you and your goals in the story. As such, I'm asking you to step into the identity of somebody who has a dream of launching a federal government contracting company and allow this book to walk you through the process of achieving your dream. While the primary purpose of this book is to provide real substance to the process of launching a small business, this case study also presents a solid argument regarding why the federal government contracting industry is an ideal market for first-time entrepreneurs. Covering the attributes of the federal government contracting industry will both inform you about this market and provide the requisite context to better understand the case study. Be warned. My arguments for this lucrative market are written with conviction. Having achieved financial independence for my family as a founder of a federal government contracting company, I have some strong opinions regarding this market. It's not hard to love an industry that bought your beach house while funding your kids' college education and an early retirement. In 2003, I launched Analytic Strategies, LLC, a federal government contracting company, and it failed miserably. In 2006, I relaunched Analytic Strategies and won my first subcontract, but it went out of business when my subcontract ended. After years of stepping on nearly every landmine in the startup minefield, I finally cracked the startup code. In 2010, I relaunched Analytic Strategies and won my first prime contract, making me a multimillionaire. In 2012, I co-founded Secure Enterprise Analytics, LLC, winning strategic contracts in the Veterans Health Administration and the Defense Logistics Agency. In 2014, I joined a joint venture called Alliance Across America Information Systems, Incorporated, winning $50 million plus in task order dollars in the aligned contract vehicle. After winning hundreds of millions of dollars in prime contracts, I sold Analytic Strategies and my shares in the other business entities in 2016 for 8 figures. In 2017, our family-owned and operated nonprofit organization was awarded the President George H.W. Bush Points of Light Award, our nation's most prestigious honor for volunteerism. As a board director and co-owner of Planet Risk, a high-tech company that supported both Fortune 500 companies and the federal government, we split the company along its commercial and public sector business lines, selling both in separate acquisitions in 2019. In this book, I present the same daddy framework that I use to successfully launch and or lead these diverse business enterprises. As you have likely guessed, daddy is an acronym. It stands for dream, analysis, define, develop, execute, and evaluate. Using the federal government contracting industry as a case study, we leverage the daddy framework to develop a strategy to successfully launch your GovCon startup. Our approach culminates in a strategy for your company to compete in a market space where over 70% of government agencies cannot meet their small business set-aside goals, leaving billions of dollars of earmarks on the table every year. Our strategy also identifies easily attainable corporate credentials that place your company in the top 1% of its competitive field. Finally, to expedite market penetration, our strategy includes a massive outreach plan to put your company in front of tens of thousands of potential business partners and customers. Successful market penetration is 100% about having the right strategy. Regardless of your interest in federal government contracting, this case study will help you learn to think strategically using a structured, repeatable framework that will help make you successful in any market. What if I'm not interested in government contracting? If you're committed to a different market or industry, that's perfectly fine as well. Since the daddy framework transcends all markets, learning this approach through real-world examples is the important thing. As such, I strongly recommend that you read the sections that are largely applicable to the federal government contracting industry. Understanding the variables at play in this illustrative market will help you gain greater insights from the examples presented, so you can leverage them in your market. Allow me to provide an example to demonstrate how the daddy framework can be applied to other industries. To illustrate the vast potential of this approach, I have selected a largely commoditized industry. Instead of getting a summer job, one of my teenage sons asked me to help him launch a company to make money over the summer. To help him launch a successful company, I walked him through the daddy framework covered in this book. We first had to quantify his dream of making money to an actual goal. If my son worked full-time at minimum wage, then he would earn about $5,000 over the summer. As his goal, he wanted to double his summer wage earning potential to $10,000 in corporate income. In the daddy framework analysis phase, we assessed his personal goal against local market demands, his potential competition, and his qualifications. We determined that lawn mowing would be the best way for him to meet his goal. So how can the good enough approach help a business as simple as a teenage boy who wants to mow lawns for summer cash? Let's find out. Continuing with our daddy framework analysis phase, we addressed the 4 perspectives essential to the development of an effective business growth strategy. They will be covered in detail later in the book. The first perspective considered was his customer's perspective. We discovered that an estimated 45% of married U.S. homeowners use various lawn care services. Especially in the suburbs where we lived, my son's target market would mostly be families. With over 3,000 counties in the United States, Fairfax County is in the top 10 counties for both household income and level of education. It also has one of the highest median home prices in the country. Therefore, his target customers had nice homes and the requisite income to protect their property investment. This led us to believe that price would not necessarily be the deciding variable when homeowners were making a lawn care value decision. As such, we decided that his pricing strategy would align with a higher priced, better value offering. Now the question was, what do Fairfax County homeowners value? We discovered several published studies showing a significant correlation between household education level and income to having strong interest in various social causes, such as protecting the environment. We then shifted our analysis to the second perspective, the bigger picture. In this example, the bigger picture was the lawn care industry. While researching the lawn care industry, we discovered some shocking facts. Gas-powered lawn care equipment accounts for 5% of our nationwide pollution. In fact, mowing your lawn produces a larger carbon footprint than most people's commute to and from work for an entire week. And this next fact ultimately became the keystone of our define phase, where we defined what his company must do and be to meet his goals. The EPA found that gasoline-powered lawnmowers emit 8 times more nitrogen oxide, 3,300 times more hydrocarbons, and 5,000 times more carbon monoxide, and more than twice the carbon dioxide per hour of operation than electric battery-powered lawnmowers. Analyzing his competitive field, the third perspective that must be addressed to create a successful strategy, we discovered that his competitors were large, well-branded lawn care businesses within the local area. At first blush, it seemed like an impenetrable market for a teenage kid. Then we learned that all his competitors exclusively used gas-powered lawn care equipment. Moreover, nearly all his competitors focused entirely on lawn mowing and trimming. Finally, we realized that his competitors all used price as their value proposition. These were areas that my son could exploit when addressing the final perspective: his company's features, benefits, and value to the customer. In our Daddy Framework Define phase, we determined that he needed to create an environmentally responsible lawn care company that offered expanded services with better value differentiators than price. The tips in this book led us to a company name that would highlight his current win themes while supporting his long-term goal. Ultimately, my son wanted his company to be a one-call, concierge-like service provider that supported homeowners seeking eco-friendly services for all their home and lawn care needs. My son founded EcoCierge LLC. Transitioning to the Daddy Framework Develop phase, we developed a market penetration strategy. His strategy relied heavily upon comparative advertising, delivered via flyers and yard signs to specifically target our local market. His flyers included pictures of gas-powered lawn care equipment bellowing thick blue smoke. He cited factual source material regarding the horrific impact that this equipment had on the environment. We believe that a single homeowner using an environmentally responsible lawn care service would encourage or guilt entire sections of a neighborhood into doing the same. To exploit this fact, he was going to post tiny lawn signs stating, "This lawn is maintained in an environmentally responsible manner," in the corner of each client's lawn. Of course, his contact information would be at the bottom. While his competitors focused on price and lawn aesthetics, my son's company focused on the customer's most important concerns: their children and pets. To not interfere with weekend family time, he marketed that lawn care would only be performed on the weekdays, except when weather absolutely dictated otherwise. He also augmented his services with eco-friendly fertilizer and pesticide services that would be safer for children and pets playing in the yard. This provided ridiculously effective marketing. Is your lawn care poisoning your children and pets? Some of the chemicals and pesticides used by his competitors really could. Providing additional services also allowed him to further differentiate EcoCierge LLC from his competitors. He not only provided a more environmentally responsible and safer service, but he also offered a more comprehensive one by expanding into other related areas. Not to mention, mowing someone's lawn every week is a tremendous opportunity to upsell other services to them. In his attempt to look more established, he started the process of joining the Green Business Bureau and becoming a preferred partner of a leading eco-friendly fertilizer company. This would provide both credibility and a discount for the fertilizer. So, did it work? Spending just 2 days in early March handing out flyers in a single neighborhood, my son booked enough revenue to easily exceed his summer earning goal. Without question, he was on track to pass $200,000 in revenue in EcoSeer's first year of operation. If he hustled, he likely could have earned double that amount. I'll admit that I was just as excited as my son by the possibilities of EcoSeer's LLC. Going through the good enough approach, I wanted my son to learn how to launch a real company with no kidding earning potential. We created a strategy to rapidly grow a business that would dominate the local lawn care market. My son's company was well on its way to doing so with just phase 1 of our growth strategy. In later phases, ISO 14001 environmental management certification would be obtained to further distance his company from the competition that only played lip service to environmental protection. To expand its outside services, EcoSeers was going to start providing eco-friendly landscaping, power washing, and junk removal. Next, his company was going to move inside the home with environmentally responsible cleaning and maid service. At this point, his company would be approaching his daddy framework defined phase end state of being a one-call concierge resource for homeowners seeking environmentally responsible services for all their home and lawn care needs. His company would also be ideally positioned to pursue massive commercial and federal government contracts worth millions of dollars, providing comprehensive facilities and ground maintenance. Needless to say, we completely lost sight of my son's original goal to make $10,000 over the summer. Again, did it work? My son started discussing his EcoSeer strategies for the next several years, omitting plans to attend college. I quickly sobered up and I immediately pulled the plug on additional marketing and hiring employees before his business grew out of hand. Neither of us were in a situation where we could lead a company on a wild roller coaster ride that we were ever so close to starting. More importantly, I didn't want my son to forego the college experience. He was already starting to question the need to attend college if he could already make hundreds of thousands of dollars as an entrepreneur in high school. My son made a ton of money that summer from 2 days of marketing and is now living college life at Duke University. So I suppose it did work. However, it could have worked on a much more financially rewarding level as well. I have little doubt that my son could have achieved financial independence before he turned 30 years old had he continued with EcoSeer LLC. Although my son's company was obviously not a government contracting business, we followed the good enough approach and used nearly every technique discussed in this book. We researched service offerings that align with personal goals and business objectives, established corporate differentiators, and created a successful growth strategy. Instead of using our discriminators to land government contract teaming agreements or write winning proposals, we used them to crush our competition with our marketing material. Simply stated, while other companies were playing checkers, the good enough approach enabled my son to play chess and win. The premise of this book is that using real-world business examples, even as simple as mowing lawns, will make the principles of entrepreneurship more meaningful and useful to you. Although I chose the prism of federal government contracting industry for context, the material in this book provides real, actionable information helpful in launching any company in any market. Can I really launch a startup? Yes, especially a GovCon company. Starting a company in some industries requires a detailed technical expertise or tremendous business experience. For example, inventing a new kidney dialysis machine and taking it to market would require a mind-boggling amount of technical knowledge, business acumen, and sales expertise to simply penetrate the market. Successfully launching a company like this is like qualifying for the 100-meter sprint in the Olympics. You must have a no-kidding, God-given ability. You either have it or you don't. No matter how hard I tried, I would never be in the same league as an Olympic sprinter. In a race with Usain Bolt, he would be at the finish line offering me a hot dog that he bought at a concession stand as I lumber past him. Launching a startup company based upon complex technology or tremendous scale is a daunting task that should not be attempted by good people. Leave that to the incredibly gifted and extremely well-funded great people. But here's some good news. Starting a federal government contracting company is less like qualifying for the Olympics and more like hiking the Appalachian Trail. Both are tremendous life events. However, one relies upon superhuman ability and the other depends almost exclusively upon effort. If properly motivated, most people could hike the Appalachian Trail from beginning to end. Here's a hypothetical question. What if you were offered millions of dollars to hike the entire Appalachian Trail? Most people would be buying hiking boots and a lightweight tent. If you have the commitment to try and the grit to see it through, then you have a fighting chance to be successful. Just forget about beating Usain Bolt. That guy is fast. Unfortunately, President Theodore Roosevelt was unable to write a glowing review of this book since he's been dead for a century. However, he would certainly endorse my views. Why? Because I unabashedly stole his views. Embedded in his Citizenship in a Republic speech given in Paris in 1910 is his famous Man in the Arena excerpt. This is the most important piece of prose a small business owner can know because it perfectly describes entrepreneurship. In my humble opinion, Teddy nails it. Here it is. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. This excerpt gives hope to average Joes and Janes like you and me. Roosevelt does not describe the necessity for genius, ample venture capital, or a strong advisory board to be successful. The man described in the above excerpt errs and comes short again and again. This sounds eerily like me. Roosevelt continues to describe a person who can take a punch and get up with his face marred by dust and sweat and blood. Roosevelt's hero is not dependent upon having God-given talents or any advantages of personal circumstance. Instead, his hero must only choose to enter the arena and to get up when knocked down. He must only choose to be great. Success is a choice, and that is especially true in the federal government contracting industry. With knowledge, government contracting evolves into a numbers game with very large payoffs. Frequently winning a single prime contract can make you a multimillionaire. If you put in the requisite effort, then you will be successful. It is simple probabilities and statistics. These past few pages were my attempt to gently hold your hand as I walked you to the deep end of the pool. Now it's time to jump in. Okay? We are now immersing ourselves in the federal government contracting case study. Beginning with the next section, we become aspiring entrepreneurs considering the launch of a federal government contracting company. Trust me, we are going to really immerse ourselves.